Good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you are in the world, and thank you so much for joining yet another live stream from home in Italy and from beautiful, 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 stunning Abruzzo. How is everybody? Absolutely great to be back again on Thursday night. We have got a number of things a few notices to tell you shortly, which I'm going to do in the next couple of minutes, which I know people love because they love that I waste a little bit of time at the beginning. They like to write nice rude comments on YouTube that I don't get started about 15 minutes in. Well, I don't care. Anyway, it's my show, so that's what I'm going to do. Anyway. How is everybody? If it's the first time that you've joined us, then welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully, you're going to join us every single week as we go through the stages of buying a property. We interview people that's already done it. We do lots of things on these Thursday evenings. So, with that in mind, tonight's show is the big, not just the big, the massive Q&A. What a great title. I just don't know where we get these titles from, but it's the big Q&A. So these are going to become an important part of our live streams in future because we want to start and do these once a month. And I'll tell you why, because I get lots of people that email me, which is great, asking questions, which is great. And I try and answer as many questions as possible. I am only sort of one person, so I can only speak to, so it sounds horrible, but I can only speak to so many people. And I know lots of people like to have a chat, things like that. I do find it really difficult at the moment because thankfully we are very busy to actually get round to making phone meetings with people. So I tend to do a lot of things by emails, but this is why we do these Q&A sessions, because we need you to come on and ask away. If you've got something on your mind, if there's something that you're thinking, how does it work? How does this work? How does whatever work? This is what these evenings are for. So there you go. Tonight, don't write any questions yet if you can help yourself, but let me know where you are in the world. Tony's going to start putting a few comments up now so I can make sure that I'm not talking to myself, which I do actually know because now, for some strange reason, I can see how many people are watching, which I couldn't do before. So yeah, let us know where you are in the world. Get your questions ready, and once I've finished talking about a few things, then you can start answering your questions, and we'll try and get through as many as possible for the next hour or so. Okay, so notices. Now then, big notice, because we will be saying goodbye to these live Thursday evenings. Do you like that sound effect? That's Tony, the producer in the background, that likes to add these little sound effects. But the reason is because we're moving to Tuesday. It's as simple as that. I just noticed that people suddenly stopped writing. Were you worried then? Were you worried that we were cancelling the show? Well, we're not. You're stuck with me forever. And we want to keep these things going forever and ever because we want to build a community. We want you guys to join us every single week. We've got some great things coming up in the future. What was this? Well, hopefully we'll get an answer to the best pub in Italy. Yeah, I'm going to start doing videos about that. And that's it as well. These Thursday night, soon to be Tuesday, just make sure, Tony, you're going to keep that going. We're gonna have a bit more fun. We're going to create this community. We're going to have these sessions where you can forget about the world for an hour, forget about all the terrible things that's going off in the world for an hour, and hopefully with some of the new ideas we've got coming up, I don't know, we're going to be bouncing off each other all the time. What was the other thing I was going to say, Tone? I can't remember the other. Oh, yes. We've also got, I did actually mention this last week, we've also got a new sponsor of our of these sessions, where I do now that the YouTube channel is becoming quite a success, which I'm really happy about, and thanks to people like yourselves. I do get a number of emails from some strange companies saying, can we advertise on your on your channel and things like that, and they sort of tell me to contact them to see what packages that they can offer and all this sort of stuff. So I then have to harp on about their products, and some of the products that people sent me, they're not really very relevant. So I've not been looking at sponsors or anything like that. But we do have somebody that is sponsoring the channel, and the reason why we're doing it is, first of all, we've got the chap or the couple have bought a number of properties using our services, which is fantastic. And second of all, it's going to benefit you guys as well, because this is a couple that, I say, bought a number of properties. They're going to be on one of our shows soon as well too, because they've never even set foot here. They're actually moving out here in March, so it's going to be a great live stream when we introduce them. But they've got a number of properties for rent, and I know lots of you out there are asking for places to rent outside of maybe Airbnb or all the other places where people advertise their properties, because you want to deal direct with the owner. And this is what's going to be happening. We're going to be putting some information on our website soon. There's a PDF that is getting sorted out now. But if you're looking for accommodation around the Sulmona area, so that includes Sulmona, Pacentro, it also includes Raiano, Vittorito, and also another one, Petorano, and also the other side of the mountain, so my side of the mountain, Palombaro and Lama di Peligna. There's some fantastic properties that you can rent. And it's for people as well that are maybe looking to come maybe for a month, or coming for a couple of months, 3 months or 6 months. And rather than having to pay the huge amounts it would be if you book sort of, I don't know, single nights and booked it for 60 nights or whatever, these people are going to make sure that you guys, that our listeners, get the best rates possible. So there's going to be lots of information on the website about it soon. You deal direct with them. It's nothing to do with me. There's no commissions involved or anything like that. You deal directly with them. If you are interested in something, maybe for next year, maybe you want to book a holiday, maybe you're coming out viewing properties. I don't think it's going to be available for sort of 2 or 3 nights, but maybe a minimum of a couple of weeks, something like that. But especially those that are looking for months, 2 months, and 3 months, and things like that, then email me at info@ahomeinitaly, which you'll see at the bottom. When you email me, if you could obviously mention that it's about the rent, and if you could leave your telephone number on the email with can't get my words out. Install WhatsApp on your telephone, and they will contact you direct and give you information, all that kind of thing. As I say, we will be publishing more once we've got the new website up and running, which is going to be soon. Tony's going to put a laughing thing on now, because I've been promising it for a long time. But we're going to. You know what it's like on a Thursday night. Thankfully, we're changing it to Tuesday. This is one of the other reasons as well, because Tony loves a glass of wine. I'm not that kind of person. Anyway, and Thursday is too near the weekend for him, and so we need to bring it to Tuesday, just to have a more serious producer, because that's what this show needs. Anyway, so yes, so if you are interested in any rentals around the Sulmona, Palombaro, those kind of areas, then please let us know. Send us an email to info@homeinitaly.com. Leave your telephone number on there. That hopefully you got WhatsApp, and then they'll contact you and go from there. Okay, so my last thing that I want to mention is the tours. We have limited spaces now in April and May. January is, by the looks of it, is booked up, but there may be one space. I'm just double checking these because I've made a little bit of an error for March. I think I've got too many people coming, which so it looks like we may have to add an extra vehicle to that. And if we do, then there could be a couple of spaces on that as well. But I'll let you know in the next couple of days. But April and May are available. We're considering February. I wasn't going to do February, but thankfully the tours have been so popular and booked up. We are considering February, but at the moment, April and May are the definite ones where we've got a few spaces. I think there's 10 left on each one. If you don't know what the tours are, we collect you from Pescara. We take you around different towns and villages. We see different properties and all that kind of thing. It's just a brilliant couple of days together. It includes all your food and or your meal while you're with us during the day and that kind of thing. You come on a coach with us. They're just great days. You get to meet people that's in the same kind of position as you, looking for properties out here in Italy. You get to see incredible Abruzzo and the property market here. You get to know all about it. So if you are interested, go onto the website, which is homeinitaly.com, and look at the tours section. Click on there. There's a PDF with the dates and all the information, and then obviously booking forms on there as well. But as I said, there's only April and May available at the moment. So if you are interested, please book. We are going to be doing dates. We don't do summer because it's too hot on the buses and too hot to be walking up and down these towns. We are talking about June possibly, but but we'll see. I'm not sure, because I've done it before in the summertime and it's not fun. But we are definitely then doing September, October, and November. But those dates will be coming out next year. Okay, I think, is that everything? I don't know if I've read all the. I think I have. So have you got your questions ready, ladies and gentlemen? If you can get your questions ready, and Tony, I would like to do, if we can. Yes. Oh, he must have read my mind. Is keep this one going, because remember, from next week, we are changing the live streams to a Tuesday. It's going to be every Tuesday, not Thursday. Tuesdays, not Thursdays. Have you got that? Tuesdays, not Thursdays. The reason for it as well, there is a valid reason. That's because when we do the tours, they're on Thursday and Fridays. Next year, we don't want to be having to do sort of 3 on a Thursday and 1 on a Tuesday and so on. So we're just changing them to Tuesday. So that's it. So everybody say it after me. Tuesday. Sorry, I'm being a little bit condescending now, aren't I? Let's get on. Let's get on with things. I'm ready for the Q&A session. I've got 8 questions. No, I've actually got 10 questions here that have been sent to me, and one great one that's quite a long question that I got sent today, and I do want to cover this one. So what we're going to do, Tony, we're going to have the first question from, I always put the first question up. Okay, here we go. Why can't I see this one? Okay, so Tekka L, is that the name? Is that, I hope that's right, or Tikal or T, whatever. I'm curious about the most energy efficient heating systems in Abruzzo, underfloor heating, pellets, natural gas, etc., and which are the most cost effective to install. God, you're really trying me out on these questions today. Okay, so the most energy efficient. I mean, obviously, underfloor heating. We don't have underfloor heating. My wife would love to have underfloor heating. We don't. I've never been anywhere where I've thought, oh, this is really great, but I don't really. I've got the kind of build that I have like self-heating within myself, which is that's why I do what I do through summer and go to sort of parties and eat lots of food and drink just to get ready for the winter time. When it comes to pellet, natural gas and things like that, pellets are definitely the best way to go for price. And I think some of the new systems we've got, we used to run from bottled gas. That was a nightmare because we didn't have mains gas. Obviously, all heating, including pellets, went up when the war started in the Ukraine. Pellets have now come back down in price. And anybody that doesn't know, they're just little wood chip pellets that you pour into the back of the machine, and the machine self feeds and so on and so on. We bought a new system, which we've just put on for the first time tonight, because my wife was heading towards a slight sort of blue color, so I thought it'd be the right time to put the heating on. And we got a machine that takes pellets, it takes nuts from olives, nuts from other fruits, and wood, and it is a fantastic system. And it just off it goes and burns everything you want, and that is a really superb efficient way of doing things. And there are some offers for things like that, because they are especially for pellets and that kind of thing, because the emissions are really low. It's supposed to be good for the planet and all the rest of it. So I'm going to say go down the line of pellets, but get something that burns a number of things, because last year when pellets tripled in price almost, then we've just bought olive nuts and they were still down at a low price. So I would say go down going down that way, and they're all to install. There's not much difference. Obviously, the solar panels as well, which I suppose we have to say is the most energy efficient, but you've got a huge layout on those. So I would say something that burns lots of different things is the way to go. So that's for me. Okay, Tony, are you putting another one up? Okay, so we've got Tom. Tom, are there more properties you represent directly other than what is on your site in video form? If I find a property on another real estate site that I might be interested in, can you help with that? Great question, Tom. Okay, so video properties, they are a small amount of the properties that are available to us. A really, really small percentage, should I say, of what's available to us. Now, we deal with a couple of great agents who they find properties just for us, just for our clients, if you like. They're fantastic. We also deal with some private sellers. Now, I was joking earlier about getting the website done, which I have been promising for a long time, but I have promised everybody a couple of weeks ago, even though Tony said I said the beginning of November, I didn't. I said the end of November. The website will be completely up to date with all the properties we have at the moment, and it will be kept up to date. I've been warned. I've been warned by my wife and business partner that I need to keep things up to date, so that will be done. And the answer, so yes, there are a lot more properties, and there are many that we get all the time that maybe I haven't had time to put yet on the site. Maybe people don't want to put them on the site, and new properties come in all the time. So don't worry about, don't sort of look on the site and think there's not much there that I see that I like. That is a bad thing to do anyway, because you need to come here and you need to just pick some areas and say, let's go and see some properties. I love people when they say, this is my budget, this is what I'm looking for, show me. People that just choose from a website and just go by that one list, that you're not going to be successful doing that. So so that's the wrong way, in my opinion, to go about it. When you're talking about with other real estate sites, can we help with that? The short answer is yes, and we do that an awful lot. We can help if we've had somebody recently that found a property with a private seller, contacted me. I went out to see the property, did a video of it, sent it to them. They absolutely loved it. They've now had an offer agreed with the owner. They looked after, they contacted the owner as well themselves. The owner was really happy because he'd no idea how to organize things, doesn't know how to speak the language. Obviously our clients are happy because they've got us that are on their side, that are doing power of attorney and doing everything. So yes, we can do that. When it's with another estate agent, the thing here is estate agents, I'm going to go through this as well, this on another question that somebody's answered. Estate agents get paid a commission, and they get paid a commission from both buyer and seller. So if you've already contacted the estate agent, and let's say you're interested in remote purchasing, if you're coming out, it's a completely different thing. If you're interested in remote purchasing, I would suggest, if you've contacted the estate agent, then really you have to pay the commission, and then you'll have to pay our fees as well on top of that. So it can become quite costly because you just seem to be paying. You've got the notary fee, you've got the estate agents, you've got us and everything else. If it's something that you want to remote buy, and you're really interested in a particular property, I would suggest contacting us first. We'll contact the agent on your behalf as a client, and we will try and negotiate with an estate agent to basically say, look, we've got somebody that's interested in buying this property. We offer these services. We can get people across the line as far as the signing's concerned. Can we work together on this where you don't charge them a commission, so they can use our services instead? And a lot of the time we are successful with that. So I would say, if it's something you're just interested in and maybe you're coming out to view, then obviously do that with them. If it's something that you want to remote buy, then get in touch with us first. If not, as I say, unfortunately, you will have to end up paying more fees. So I hope that's answered that question. Tony, I'm going to just, because I really want to, this one's quite a long question, so I'm hoping you've got a number of, let me just have a quick look on the chat. So yeah, there does seem to be a few questions coming in. Okay, so I'm going to read a few out. This one was quite a good one that I got from a gentleman in the UK. It's quite a long question, so bear with me. Okay, so this part of the question was, as you say on your YouTube channel, buying in Italy is different to that of the UK or the US and other parts. And I really struggle with two primary issues. The first is seeing what an agent working on behalf of a buyer actually contributes for their fee. My predicament here, I suppose, is that we could possibly end up seeing a property advertised by an agent, arrange a viewing with them, potentially leads to making an offer through them to the seller, which could be accepted. In this case, the agent then justifies a commission to be paid to him or her by both the seller and us as the buyer. Yet, what has he actually done for me? In my view, he's unlikely to support or advise on any form of negotiation in the asking price, which will impact his own commission. And two, it feels that it'd be adverse to taking any responsibility for incorrect facts or property checks. So it's quite a good, it's not so much a question, well, it is, it's two questions in there. So firstly, estate agents charge a commission. That's what they do, and that's what they do in most other countries as well. It's actually, yeah, it can be a little bit of a pain because you think, well, what have you actually done for me? But obviously they've done all the advertising, they take people around, there are expenses, the taxes are quite high and all the rest of it. But I understand when you think, but what have you done? You've just given me, you're just charging me a commission. that's just the way it is. That there's nothing at all that you can do about that. And the fact that where you mentioned that you don't think that they'd be driven enough to get a better price because it affects their commission, I sort of agree, but not much. Because let's say, for instance, on 10K, if you were talking 3%, on 10,000 euros, you're talking a difference of 300 euros from each person. The tax rates here are quite high. So, you could be talking 50%. So you're talking then potentially that they would lose a sale for 300 euros. They're not going to do that. Because I would be very surprised if they would do that, considering that they would make, even on a property of 60K, if they're charging a minimum of 3,000 euros, then, buyer and seller, they're making 6,000 euros plus VAT from that. So they're not going to lose that over a few hundred euros, in my opinion. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. When they mentioned that you feel that if you dealt with an estate agent, that they may be adverse to taking any responsibility for incorrect facts or property checks, it's actually not their responsibility to do all of those kind of things. I know it may sound strange, but obviously they have certain things that they must do. But this is where things are a little bit strange. If you get an agent that just takes a commission, what you then need to do is work with somebody like a geometer or somebody like that is going to collect the documents, make sure everything's okay with the house, and then the ultimate checks are done by the notary. So it's sort of them. You can't really hold estate agents responsible for doing that kind of thing. There are checks that they need to do, and they're preliminary checks that they need to do. There's always some document work that is either missing or needs doing. That's just a fact, the way it is. But you can't give them that responsibility. Hopefully, you will find an agent that goes above and beyond just a commission. There are some out there. But you can't unfortunately, it's just the way it is. It's a commission payment. And that's why we were part of an estate agency, but we decided to register as consultants because it gives us that flexibility to be able to see things through to the very end and do things not for a commission payment, but do things as a service. Because I can't charge a commission. I'm not an estate agent. I can't charge a commission to the owner and to the buyer. So we charge for services. So whether that's translations, power of attorney, signing at the notary for you, and all the rest of it. So it's a little bit, obviously I want to push my services and say, come with us because we've got a better system. But that's being unfair to estate agents as well, and I can't do that. So unfortunately, yes, it is a commission. I know we've got some other questions coming through, Tony, but I just want to do the second one. Because this one, he said, my second issue, because we're evaluating properties across a large landscape and regions, because this person's not sure where in Italy he wants to buy, it's difficult for us foreigners to compare and appraise asking prices. As I also know, you can see house details and guesstimate fairly closely its market value based on location, land, facilities, and all that kind of thing. Maybe it's showing a lack of local experience in buying in Italy, but there does not appear to be a comparative. In other words, there doesn't appear to be the same system in Italy that potentially we have in the UK. There isn't. It's completely different. And the reason why it's different is because you're buying a property for a completely different set of reasons than somebody that lives here. So I know Italians will move out of the historical centres because they don't want to travel from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. So if they've got a job at the bottom of the hill, they'll buy a new apartment at the bottom of the hill. I find it incredible. I find it incredible that families have got loads of properties here, and the kids don't want to take them on because it's 2 kilometers away from the work or 5 kilometers away from down a hill. They find it inconvenient. I find it unbelievable. So you have what the locals will pay, which I know lots of people will say, oh, they'll pay a lot less than us. Not necessarily true. They won't look at that kind of property. And the kind of properties that you won't look at, that you're not going to be interested in, that's maybe on a main road, and an apartment on a main road that's not really historical, there's nothing around it, but it's convenient to get to these factories, and that you're not going to look at those. So you've got these two different markets run alongside each other. So the holiday home market, it's very difficult to put a price on it, because the properties are so individual. You could have a line of historical properties, but one of those may have a roof terrace. So you think, okay, well, it's got a roof terrace. What's that going to be worth? 2 grand more, 5 grand more? But it's going to be worth so much more than the others. One of them, there may be 2 properties together that are identical, but one of them has a fantastic view compared. So you can't just say 100 square meter property in such and such is X per square meter, even though there is something. And next time we do one of these sessions, I will actually find the website that does give a rough idea for each town, but it's not really, it doesn't apply to the holiday home market, because what we're looking for is something completely different. I have so many people that will say, well, you sold this property, mine's the same. And I said, well, it's not, because that property, you don't see the petrol station from that one, and people here don't understand that, because obviously they don't mind. They've seen these views all their life. It's a completely different way of looking at it. So it's sort of, somebody else will say to me, but the air's better here. And believe me, people say things like that. The air's better, or the soil's better, or this is better, or that's better. What they class as a value has no relevance to us whatsoever. So it's so difficult to say a property of this price, of this state in this town is worth this much. So in that sense, it's even harder for you. The only thing you can do is look for similar things on the internet and then come and see what it's worth to you, because that is the reality of it, to be honest with you. Yes, if you went in some of the bigger cities, you went into Pescara, you went into Rome, you could say, well, this area, an apartment of 80 square meters or whatever will cost you however many thousands per square meter. Yes, you may be able to do that. But when it comes to holiday homes, I said, when you see that beautiful detached property that's just sat perfectly on that hill with those incredible views and everything else, that has not just a higher value, but that one will sell. But the identical property on the other side of the hill may never sell, just because it's just not sat quite in the right position. So it's a tough one. I hope I've answered your question. I've tried to do as much as I can, but that is the reality of it here. You have to just look, do your research, and then get there and use your gut feeling once you're here, because then go and travel around a few of the agents and see what you think about the values from one to another. Okay, Tony, I have got more, but I will obviously, let's do some from people on here. So Franco, you reassured us you would help purchasing a property held by another agent. What would you suggest if we wanted to know if certain renovations could be done before agreeing to purchase? Okay, so first thing, Franco, the people who are selling are not going to be interested in what you're doing or what you're not doing. Okay, that's the first thing. So it could never be, nothing ever gets held here. If somebody wants to sell and you're saying, okay, I want to get somebody out there to have a look before I buy it, I completely understand that. But the owners will continue marketing and doing everything else, because they're not interested in what you want to do, what you don't want to do. They're selling their property as is. So what I usually do is, in fact, we're going through this at the moment. There's a couple of people that want to buy some apartments in Sulmona through my colleague Domenico, well, obviously through us. And these particular people have asked 2 questions, and one of them is to do with air conditioning, whether this particular building you're allowed to have it. And the best thing that we can do is take our geometry with us. If it's something within our area, then I can usually get the geometer to come with me or explain the situation. And if it's something that he can come out and look at and say, well, yes, we can take that wall down, or no, we can't do that, or yes, they can open this and can. If you wanted to know prices and that kind of thing, very difficult, because you need to have a project drawn up and so on and so on and so on. But I would say, if you're just wanting to know, can I do this? Can I extend? Can I? Then you could ask the agent. You'd kind of hope that, but again, it's not really for the agent to say. But this is why I always say, get to know a geometer, because they're fantastic to have all the way through. So if you're coming through us, let's say you contacted me and you said, Dave, I love this place. It's within your area. I found it. It's with this person, but I want to know if I can do X, Y, Z. Then I would go straight to our geometer and ask that question. If we need to go out, then we would do. If you're not dealing with us, if it's with another agent, you can ask the agent. Obviously, they're going to give you whatever answer. You would hope that they're going to be honest about the answer. but I would still try and push to get some information from a geometer. The main things to remember is just don't presume that you can open up walls and knock through doors and things like that, because stone properties and that kind of thing, you can't do that. It doesn't matter how many lintels you put in to strengthen it, you can't do it. It's as simple as that. You could put 3 million pieces of iron into whatever it is to hold the rest of the building up, that could probably hold a 50-story building up, because you want to open a double set of doors. You can't do it. So things like that you need to be aware of. Okay, next one, Tony. Are we okay? Jim. When someone is ready to buy a property, does a buyer typically have their Codis Fiscal ready, or does your service or the agent help? Okay, again, it's not the job for an estate agent. And again, another couple that's been here before, and they're really interested in a property in a place called Tagliacozzo. They may be listening tonight. And to me, this particular agent is pushing to get a signature, because let's just get a signature. Because here, if you put an offer in for a property, then you're tied into that. You do what they call a proposta di acquisto. We're gonna have a session on these things in the next couple of weeks, different contracts, a proposal to buy. And that's what you sign. You don't just say to somebody here, even though we do it in a different way, but a traditional estate agent, if you want to put an offer in, you have to put your money where your mouth is. You have to sign a form. You have to say, we're going to basically tie yourself in to buy that property. Now, agents just want to see proposals to buy, because they can get their commission quickly. If you've got a proposal, you've actually done your job as an estate agent. You go to the owners, will you accept it? Sign there, please. The buyers have signed, the owners have signed. That's what they're looking to do. Now, if you haven't got a Codis Fiscal, you can't buy the property. You can, in theory, still sign the proposta di acquisto and everything else. But what I find is people tend to sign things and then suddenly think, now what do I do? Now I need to go to, I can't even get to Italy in the next 3 months, and I've signed to say that I'm going to do this in 2 months. I wonder if I can just do it online. Can I sign online and send them the money? No, you need to have things organized before. Codis Fiscal you must have before you buy a property. So you can put an offer in and everything else, but you need to speak to your agent to see how much help they're going to give you. It's not their job to get you a Codis Fiscal, because they have to go to the tax office, you have to queue up, and so on and so on and so on. We do services for things like that as well. We do go to the tax office many times. Anybody buying through us, we get the Codis Fiscals. Your other option is to go onto your local Italian consulate website, go on there, write Codis Fiscal, and apply from there. And you should hopefully get it back within a few weeks. Some people have said they've had them back within a week, some people months. But you need to be prepared. And more importantly, work out before you sign anything. Can I get back to Italy within that timescale? Or do I need to do a power of attorney? If I need to do a power of attorney, who's going to do it? You can't just sign a simple document and with your agent and they sign for you. It needs to be signed in front of a notary where you are. These are all things that we do, that's part of our jobs to do. But you need to be prepared. So again, don't presume that the agents are going to do that, because traditional agents, and I've seen it many times, they just want that signature, just want that proposal to buy. And it's not their fault, because that's what their job is. But I think people coming from abroad tend to want more services than what people usually do. I understand that, which is why we set up our business. I'm not saying that I'm better than everybody else, even though we are. But we understand that, but it's not fair to expect somebody that is a traditional estate agent that's maybe not had experience with buying people from abroad to suddenly sort everything out for you, because it's actually your job to do that. So there you go. Next one, Tom. Are we? Caroline, can you speak on seismic retrofitting? How to know the retrofit status of a house, cost to do it ourselves. Seismic retrofitting. So what I'm presuming, this comes up quite a lot. Italy is seismic. That's the way it is. I saw it on another question that somebody put through. Somebody else is saying, what about earthquakes? I've been spending hours upon hours looking at Abruzzo property, but I've recently realized that most of Italy is quite unstable. Okay, I understand that Italy is seismic. Italy has churches, castles, historical centers that have been here for thousands of years and will carry on being well, I've lost my train of thought. Carry on having castles and churches and so on and so on. But Italy will always have earthquakes because it's seismic. That's just the reality of anywhere. If you go to Greece, you've got things going back thousands of years. Any of these countries, most countries, I would say, I don't know if most in the world are seismic, but it's seismic. We just have to get over that. That's just the chances of it happening are slim. Chance of it happening to you are very slim. Does it happen? Of course it does. But in the same breath, we stand more of a chance of having a car accident than we do losing our life in an earthquake. And that's not putting it sort of making out as if it doesn't matter, because of course it does. If you're unfortunate that you're in that moment, then unfortunately, then that you will. We all know. The good thing, if you can say if there's a good thing with earthquakes, is in Italy they're slightly different. They don't spread out as much as they do in some countries. They're quite localized. So again, the chance of it happening to you is quite low. But that's the reality. When it comes to retrofitting, people used to say that, and I've seen it on so many Facebook groups and things like that, where people say, don't buy the house unless it's got current earthquake proofing and all that, because it will cost you a fortune to retrofit it. You don't have to. The way it works here, because people will say, get them to do that, get them to do all this work before you buy it. Why would the owner do that? You don't have to do that. If you own a property, like this property that I'm in now, we restored this 7 or 8 years ago and had a new roof and all that kind of thing. And the roof was done with the regulations of that time. If I had to keep up with the regulations, the ever-changing regulations, not just in Italy, in every country, I would have to demolish my house every year and rebuild it. You would have to demolish every single historical center in Italy and rebuild it, and then do the same again the following year, and so on and so on and so on. So you do not have to retrofit anything, as long if it was built with the rules of the time. That's all that matters. If it was done before 1967, people could do whatever they want to build anything before 1967. After 1967, you needed to have permission. To have permission, there would have been rules of that time, and as things developed, different techniques were done. But that's continuing to develop. Now, sometimes some villages, if there has been an earthquake recently, they may get lots of funds to start retrofitting things to make the houses, I don't know, put new roofs on that are lighter. And there's a number of villages that got millions and millions and millions from the government and gave it to the people and said, right, okay, let's get these houses up to spec, not because they had any damage to them, but just in case for the future. That's fantastic if that happens, but it's not something that you have to do. And it's not something certainly that you should be saying to somebody else, well, I'm not buying that house until you bring it up to today's standards, because it's impossible to do that. Because today you wouldn't be able to build all the houses in historical centers in Italy. You wouldn't be allowed to build like that again. If you were building a new historical center, you wouldn't be able to build it the same way they did years ago, because they wouldn't allow that to happen. It would have to be cement structures and things like that, faced off in stone, but it would have to have the inside of cement. So it's one, again, you if you're thinking a lot about that kind of thing, then maybe you shouldn't choose Italy. Maybe you shouldn't choose lots of other countries as well. But again, when this thing stood for hundreds of thousands of years, then I'm quite happy with many others to not to take the chance. But we all live in these kinds of circumstances, with these kinds of problems, if you like. Okay, any others coming through, Tony, or shall I do a couple off the? He's got a blank look on his face. I've got a little screen with his face, and he's actually putting his hand up saying, wait. What he does is he reads through the questions. He likes to find ones as well that annoy me, and I'll make sure he puts those on. I'm going to read some while his, what's this stamps? You're switching these to Tuesday. Yeah. Yes, we are. Look, that's what it says at the bottom. Remember, Tuesdays, not Thursdays. I've asked somebody asked me this question before, and so I'm gonna say it again because I quite like this question. I'll come back to Tom's in a second. Outside of Abruzzo, what's your favorite area? Abruzzo is definitely number one for me for many reasons. And I know the business is called A Home in Italy, not A Home in Abruzzo, and that's because we can help anywhere. And anything that we speak about on these sessions are relevant to anywhere in Italy. For me, Abruzzo is incredible as an area. So if I had to choose another one, it would depend what I was. If I was doing it for a holiday home, I'd be tempted with Sicily. I love Sicily, absolutely love it. I wouldn't live there, but I absolutely love it. And I'm a South Italy person. I think real Italy is in the South for me personally. And I would probably say Puglia as well. And certain parts of Puglia, maybe around the Alberobello, that's what it's called, in Alberobello, and Ostuni and those sorts of areas, Martina Franca, those sorts of places. I really like it down there as well. So if I was buying a holiday home outside of Abruzzo, I'd be really tempted in Sicily, even though it does have its slight problems. But I don't know. I probably, in my heart, I'm still a little bit rough and ready around the edges as well. If I was going to move somewhere else, I do quite like parts of Puglia as well. But nobody would drag me out of Abruzzo. I think it's just way ahead. It's real Italy. There you go. Philip, what would be the fastest way to get in contact with you once we decide on a property? Always by email. Everybody, people sort of do want to contact me and do sort of want to speak to me. And I really appreciate that. I really do. And I understand why people want to speak. I just cannot physically, I haven't got the time in the days to speak to everybody. I just can't do it, unfortunately, because the people I do have to speak to are the ones that are obviously starting through the process and all of that kind of thing. But I do everything by email, and I do answer my emails. I'm a lot better now at answering emails than I was before. But Philip, yeah, just if you contact me by email, then if it's something that, because lots of people will just say, I want to have a chat about, what we're thinking. And I understand that. I get all that. And which is why I'm changing the website to put some new videos to help people at different stages of where they're at the moment, if you like. But when it comes to you found a property and you want to move forward with something, obviously we'll contact you as soon as possible. But I would definitely say email info@homeinitaly.com. It's me that does the emails, and I'll be back to you as soon as possible. Okay. I knew Tony was going to put one of those on because he knows that I moan about. Anyway, no. Marsha, could you please answer the question about public transport to Rome in winter? Excuse me. Seems that there's no direct trains from Pescara or Sulmona to Rome after December the 9th. Is that right, Tony? I'm looking. No, he's shaking his head. I didn't think it would be, because I find that well. First of all, so coming to the January tour, I want to take the train from Pescara to Rome after the tour, but no direct trains on Trenitalia after December the 9th. I've been checking for weeks. No direct trains to Rome in winter. We're going to have a look at that, Tony. He's shaking his head as well. I've never heard that. But what I will say, Marsha, is the bus is best. And it's certainly, wintertime, seeing as though you mentioned winters here, and even though we've got high mountains, unless you're living in the highest of the villages and the rest of it, winters are great here. There's if you get a handful of days, I think this year we maybe had 4 days, something like that. But what I was going to say is what Sonia's saying. The bus is a far better option. Yes, the train is, it goes up and over the mountain, but it stops at a million stops. Just jump on a bus. It's so easy. From Pescara to Rome, take you straight to the airport or wherever you want to go. There's about 3 stops, I think. Tiburtina, Tony's nodding his head. Tiburtina in the center, then there's Ciampino Airport and Fiumicino Airport, and it's dead easy, and it costs about 18 euros, something like that. Sometimes you even get a little bottle of water for that as well. So the best ones are Flixbus, Flix, Flixbus. And then there's Pronto Bus, Pronto. And the other one is called Difonzo, Difonzo. But I think Flixbus is dead easy. They've got websites in English, No problem at all. The thing of trains not running after I've never heard of that, to be honest with you, but I don't know 100%, but I would say definitely jump on the bus. It's so easy. Okay, what's Tony, are you putting any more on, or can I go through some of these while you're having a look? In fact, let me always put one on now. I was going to choose another one. Lorraine, it's my friend Lorraine. My concern is paying house taxes after the purchase. Can I set up an auto debit for these? Okay, Lorraine, if it's the right Lorraine that I'm thinking, which I'm sure it is buying a superb property in, or will be, in Raiano. Okay, so it's a mad system when it comes to property taxes after the purchase. Property taxes here are very low compared to the vast majority of countries, if not all. And you pay them twice. You can pay them either once a year or twice a year. The mad thing is you don't get a bill for them. You've actually got to work it out yourself. It's an unbelievable, it's an unbelievable system, because it is so ridiculous. Just send a bill to people, make it easy, and people will pay. But you have to actually work it out yourself, believe it or not. So some people use accountants, believe it or not. Some companies do have services that we're one of those that can help with all of that. Or you can learn how to do it yourself. And basically what you will do, the great thing about taxes here, you do have deadlines, but unlike the UK, you won't go to prison if you don't pay it bang on there, but you may have to pay some interest, possibly. But once it's been worked out, then you can send it, you get the IBAN details of the council where you are, and you can send it direct into those offices. So it's not something that you should worry about. Luckily for you, Lorraine, if it is the right person I'm thinking it is you're one of our clients, so we'll make sure things run smooth for the future. But yeah, it's something that needs to be done, and it's something that a lot of people say, well, I didn't get a bill, so I've not paid it. Unfortunately, that doesn't wash with the tax office here. If you get caught, they will come for you, and they will come for interest as well. So it is really important, but it's things that we can help with. Or you go into the local council and say, help me, I've no idea how to do it. And lots of the local councils will help people and show you how to print these forms off, tell you how it works, and then each time you visit, you either pay it and just pay it in one go so it's forgotten about, or you send it by bank transfer, which you can do. There's lots of options. There's these cards that you can get where if you're paying small amounts, and they'll transfer it into euros and send it across. I can give you information on that. And then there's also people like David Nixon, who was on last week, Currencies Direct. They don't usually do small amounts, but they do for our listeners. Denise, so this is the other question I was going to choose. Can you speak about the 7% flat tax rate for retirees only in certain areas? Okay, the 7% flat tax was a scheme that the Italian government put in to try and get people to retire here, which I find incredibly frustrating, because it's a fantastic scheme. But as we all know, trying to get a visa to live here they don't make it very easy. So there's sort of one conflicting against the other, which drives me insane. I don't like having anything to do with politicians, and I'm not interested in politics and all the rest, but I would love to meet the politician or wherever it is who is in charge of repopulating Italy, because I would love to spend a few hours with that person. Because anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. 7% flat tax rate is available for people retiring to, so you've got to be in pension, to southern Italy. Southern Italy, strangely enough, includes Abruzzo. And even though Abruzzo is on the same line as Lazio, in Italy, the north is classed as the rich and the poor is classed as the south. I personally love the south, and I think I've said this before, I think Italy should be turned upside down. Anyway, and luckily Abruzzo is part of this 7% scheme. Lazio isn't. That's just the way it is. And parts of Le Marche, but only parts. There's only certain, I think there's 2 councils. I need to remember which those councils are, of Le Marche that will allow this 7%. What it is, you have to be in South Italy. So anything from Abruzzo south, you have to be in a town or in a council that has less than 20,000 people as a population of 20,000 people, less than. So even if you're in the countryside, if you come under If your council is a large town that's over 20,000, you can't get this 7%. So you need to be in a town with less than 20,000 people in it in South Italy. Then you can qualify for the 7% tax scheme. I'm not going to go into too much, obviously, how accounts works. I'm going to leave that to how taxation works. I'm going to leave that to the Mr. Grim Reaper himself, our I'm going to say resident taxman, who's going to come in. He's promised me the next few weeks he's going to come and do one of these live streams with me to depress us all and tell us how much tax we need to pay. But basically, you are paid 7%. You have to pay 7% tax on all your income from anywhere in the world. You just pay 7%. So you don't, I mean, usually when you're here and you're on a normal scheme, you have to declare where you've got money, declare where accounts are, declare if you've got houses and pay certain tax on that if it's outside of Italy, certain taxes if you're renting those houses out, and declare everything. Whereas if you get on the 7%, you just declare how much you've earned. So the accountant will basically say to you, we'll come to the end of the year, your full earnings, please, including pensions and everything, and you get charged 7%, and that's for 10 years. So it's a great, great system. After 10 years, you go on normal tax rates, which can be eye-watering, but if you consider the 7%, and then, you know, let's say you're here for 20 years, if you do the average between those, and you've got a great tax rate. But the 7% for 10 years is a fantastic thing. And it's literally that. Pay 7% on all your worldwide income. No matter how much that is, that's what it is. The only thing you've got to be careful of is whether or not the country where you are will want to charge you taxes as well. And it is Lorraine from Riano. I thought it was. Anybody, as I mentioned before, in fact, Lorraine, I think she's going to come on one of these future shows as well when she buys a property. I'm sure she will. Okay, Dave and Silvana are consummate professionals, and they make the process seamless. Use their services. That's very kind of you. And we haven't even got to the end of yours yet, but it's very kind of you to say so. We do pride ourselves in what we do. Okay, anybody else want to, or shall I do a few of these, Tony? Oh, he just doesn't want me to answer these, does he? Sorry, people that have emailed. I will try and get round to a couple of them. We'll do them quickly. Franco, I'm thinking about permanent residency in Abruzzo. How long does it take to get an Italian driver's license? How long before I can buy a car? Is there long-term rental if necessary? Okay, long-term rental is available. I do actually have a contact in Sulmona, of all places, for long-term rental, and his car rates are much cheaper than other ones. How long does it take to get an Italian driving license? Okay, well, that depends on you. Unfortunately, depending where you are, Franco, if you're in Europe, then you can just switch from your driving license that you got now into the driving license into an Italian one. Unfortunately, if you're outside of Europe, you have to retake your test, which, again, for me, is just ridiculous. However, there may be hope in the future. The European Union in March, if you go on their website, if you type into Google, write something about changes to driving licenses in the EU or something like that, it should come up. It was spoken about and proposed that they will change some of the ways that driving licenses are exchanged to make it easier, and also considering allowing people from outside of the EU to change licenses, provided they come from a country that has similar driving standards. I'm not getting into the conversation about driving standards in Italy. So, I should say that we should probably throw it open to all countries if you're looking for the same driving standards. But there is hope that they may discuss this and finally come out with a sensible agreement that would mean that you can change your licenses over. But at this moment in time, that doesn't exist. And you do have to take your driving test again, unfortunately. So you have to do a theory test, which is multiple choices. There are ways that you can practice this, because it's not in English, it's in Italian. I think it's also in French. And I don't know if it's German or something like that. But it's not in English. So you have to get familiar with the language, but there are people that do lessons for people in your kind of situation. Once you've done the theory and practice getting all your multiple choice questions right, then you have to do the practical test. But it would be one crazy instructor that wouldn't pass you. So yes, unfortunately, you have to do that, and you have to be a resident in Italy to buy a car. So you can't just buy it as a holiday. You know, if you're not resident, you must be resident. You don't have to be a citizen, but you must be resident. Okay, Tony, I'm going to just do a couple of these. Lewis, our good friend Lewis. I'll tell you about Lewis. Well, I've already sort of spoke. I'm not doing a spoiler on Lewis. He's going to come onto one of our programs. Could not imagine purchasing without Dave and Silvana. They are a critical part of making our Italian dream life come true. Thank you very much. We're gonna meet Lewis really soon, and as I'm not going to say much about it. And I'm really looking forward to meeting this person. We've got some rather strange things in common, and some rather possible fun things in the future that we may add to our YouTube channel, but we'll keep that between ourselves for now, because people might think we're a little bit nutty. Anyway, moving on. Somebody's asked, can I sign without a Codis Fiscale? I've already said that. No, you can't. I've done the outside of Abruzzo. Come on, what else? Oh yeah, I heard that builders at the moment, I heard that it's difficult getting builders at the moment. Is this true? The Italian government did a fantastic thing during COVID of doing what they call the 110, which means they financed. They didn't finance. They gave people money to make their house more energy efficient. It was fantastic. They actually gave you 100%. So if you said to the government, I'm going to, you had to have somebody come out to your house, and they say, okay, if you change your roof, change your boiler, change your windows, put insulation on the outside, do this, then we can get your house from a G rating up to an E rating, or whatever it may be. You had to go up to. The Italian government would pay for all of those restorations plus 10%. And that went towards all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff. Fantastic what they did. They did it right in COVID. They got the building industry going. They got money sort of coming in. Absolutely brilliant. The problem is the builders now are just completely stacked out with work. It's unbelievable. If you're a builder, come to Italy, move to Italy, because you could name your price and get on with it. So it is really difficult at the moment. I hate saying it, because I mean, I've been doing this for 18 years and being involved in hundreds of restoration projects, and I've never known times like this, because builders are just, and trying to get people even to give you prices and trying to get people out is just difficult. It's better now than it was a year ago. It is still difficult. Things are still getting done, and but it's a slightly different timescales and things like that, because once they get started, fantastic, they get in and they get moving, but there is so much work out here. So if you are looking for a complete restoration, find out the availability of people. You just need to go on the waiting list, unfortunately. But once you get to the point, because now there's some jobs that we're waiting to price up, and it's so frustrating that I need to desperately get back to these people, and just waiting for prices to come in and getting everything together has become a little bit of a pain in our life, to be honest. And I think that's why lots of people are buying places that don't need much work doing. But it is much harder than it was before. It's certainly not impossible. Of course it's not. And I'm waiting for some restorations to be done outside as well, in our property. There's a number of things that we want to do. You just have to accept, unfortunately, we just have to wait a little bit of time. It is a little bit harder, but stick with it to be worth it. Helen, hi Dave. Do your servicing include putting potential investors like us in touch with tax advisors? I'm really looking forward to visiting soon. So glad to have found your channel, and I'm so glad you found the channel as well, Helen. Thank you. Yes, we've got a fantastic tax advisor. Gianluigi is going to be on here in a couple of weeks. A great friend of mine, lives in Puglia. The reason why we use Gianluigi is because his English is perfect. So I can certainly put you in touch if you email me at info@homeiniitaly.com. I can put you in touch, if you put an email together, the kind of things you want to know. But he is going to be coming on here along with lots of other people over the next few weeks and months. So yes, we do. You can contact us and then get ready sort of for him coming on here, and you can ask questions on here. Okay, Tony, I think we may have to. This may be the last one. What is the easiest way to get to See that? He's just taking the mess, isn't it? What is the easiest way to get to Pescara from North Europe? Airplane from Norway is a long day travel. Easiest way to get to Pescara from North Europe. Depending, I mean, there are flights direct into Pescara. You can go into Milan and then hop on a flight from Milan to Pescara. To be honest with you, I'd just fly into Rome. If Pescara is not on your direct, I would say either Rome, Bari, or Ancona. Dead easy to get to Abruzzo from any of those, to be honest with you. So when I was in the UK, I lived in the north of the UK, and I used to hate the drive from where I lived in Yorkshire to Stansted. Hated the drive. Whereas the drive from Rome to Pescara is incredible. It's spectacular, and there's never anybody on the road, and the scenery is just unbelievable, and it's worth that 2-hour trip. So I would say, yeah, Rome, Bari, or Ancona. Okay, Tony, you've piled all this. Have you seen all these questions I've got written down here? I'll have to save these for next time. So apologies if you've emailed us and I've not got around to questions, but there you go. I will do them as soon as possible. Remember, next week, when is it? Correct, Tuesday. It's going to be every Tuesday. Thursday nights are no more. It's going to be Tuesdays from now on. So I will be putting publicity of what's coming up. We're having a few new things coming soon. We're having some Meet the Home Buyers. We're having Meet the Groupies. Get a load of this. Meet the Groupies. It's not that exciting. Well, it is. The people that have been coming on our tours, our group tours, I'm going to get a few of those on to when we do the talking about Abruzzo session. Then we're going to get those people on just to big it up for us. Stamps are saying same time. Great question. Completely forgot about the time. Tony's fault again. Yes, same time. 7 o'clock in the evening on Tuesdays. Can you see? You see there? Not. Oh no, I haven't written Thursday. It's that day. Tuesday, not Thursday. Tuesday, not Thursday. Can you remember? You're going to wake up tomorrow morning and you're going to say it's Tuesday, not Thursday, and you're going to think of me. Anyway, yes, Meet the Groupies. We're going to have a bit of fun, and it's coming towards Christmas. What's happened to this year? I don't know. So soon it's going to be Tuesdays with a glass of wine in December, all through December. We're going to be loving each other all the way up to Christmas and beyond. Anyway, I'm rattling on now, aren't I? Okay, thank you so much again for joining us. Thank you for all the support. A great number in today. Please stay with us every week, every Tuesday, not Thursday. Stay with us. Make sure you tune in again next week. We're going to probably have a serious one, I think, next week. Next week, we're going to probably have the final contract. We're going to talk about what happens inside the notary's office. We're going to tell you about these scary contracts that everybody worries about. We're going to do the final contract, and then the following week, I think we're going to do the Meet the Groupies, and that should be quite good fun. So I want to get at least 4 or 5 or maybe 6 people on here, and then maybe coming up towards Christmas, we may have Christmas with our new sponsors. We may have Christmas with Lewis. Well, we'll see. I need to have a word with him. We need to build this one up because he sounds as crazy as what I was. So it may be quite a strange one. We may have to leave it while really close to Christmas, when everybody's in real party mode. Anyway, okay, thank you so much. I'm glad you like the Q&As, Kristen. We are going to make sure that we do these often, and please make sure you join in on all of these and bring your questions along. Anything you want to know, just ask. We're a community. We all can look after each other. You can ask whatever you like. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. See you next Tuesday, not Thursday, and and take care. Bye.